Annoyance.
Slap me in the face, you know.
Mate, you've not got what it takes. Anger.
Call the police, man. Call the police, man.
Listen. Desperation.
I've lost everything. I've no house, I've no nothing.
What happens when debt
Don't grab things from me.
tracks you down?
I'm not that person.
I believe you are.
Up and down the UK,
Oh, you can't take my, don't take my equipment.
we see Britain's most resilient High Court enforcement agents
I've seized it, it's not your car.
Oh, is it?
dealing with every debtor's worst nightmare.
It's going.
No, you don't understand.
Because if you can't pay,
I am not going to pay it. End off.
they'll take it away. Recent research shows that personal debt levels in the UK are on the rise, with the average amount owed now exceeding £55,000. A leading advisory body in England and Wales is now dealing with over 5,000 new debt problems every day. (9 a.m). High Court enforcement agents Paul Bohill and Max Caraher are in Upton Park in East London to recover a debt of £5,500 owed by a travel agent, Miss Issa, to a dissatisfied customer.
Well, what have we got on today?
We're off to see Miss Sophia Adam Issa. We're looking to collect £5,414.75.
The customer took Miss Issa to court, claiming that the flights and the hotel he received were below the standard advertised for his holiday.
When we get there, can we keep our eyes peeled for a silver BMW X5 53 plate?
The claimant has told the agents that Miss Issa owns a BMW. If she can't or won't pay today, it could be seized to recover the debt.
There's an X5 down there on the right. That one there, hold on. That's it.
There is a God.
Let's immobilise that.
Worth approximately half of the £5,500 debt, Max clamps the BMW in the hope that the threat of removing it will prompt payment.
Hello, Miss Essa. Yes, my name is Paul Boyle. I'm a High Court enforcement agent. We have here a writ. The amount that we're looking for today is £5,414.75.
I did basically go to the court at the time. It was a holiday that I was doing. I was working as a travel agency.
Oh, right.
He had a good holiday, but instead of Rob Brunei, I gave him British Airways.
Right.
Instead of Zabil Sarai, he got Habdul, so he's still got the top 5-star hotel.
Okay.
He is basically claiming compensation for something what he's already got a holiday for. It's not as if that he paid us, and obviously he didn't get a holiday. But I know I was getting threatening calls from him saying that I'll be taking you down.
But is the agency still open then, or closed?
No, it's been closed.
Do you work now?
No, I'm not working. So
Okay.
tomorrow somebody else could turn up and say we owe money. So obviously I've not got no money to give.
No, I understand.
Basically, I'm in the debt for about £100,000 myself.
So what's the £100,000 involved in?
It's to do with the travel agency.
Right.
It's clear that Sophia is in serious levels of debt.
£100,000 worth of debt.
But Max and Paul are duty-bound to try and recover the £5,500 owed to their client.
We do have an issue here, is that the actual court case from Bow has now been transferred to the High Court.
Okay.
And the debt is enforceable. So the first question we have to ask, can you actually pay us £5,440.75?
I haven't got anything to my name. This is just a temporary accommodation we've got right now.
Okay. The information that we have here is that the BMW X5 outside is yours.
No, it's not mine.
Whose is it?
It's my husband's.
Right.
Have you got proof of that for me?
Yeah, I've got a logbook.
Show me what documents you have for the vehicle, so we can make our decision from there. Thank you. Well, this is temporary accommodation, so my guess is going to be there's nowhere near enough assets here to cover that debt. I think it will lie on the vehicle.
Moments later, Sophia returns with a logbook and insurance documents.
I mean, essentially, this documentation you showed us doesn't stop us taking the vehicle. This insurance is current. It shows that you're the policy holder. Quite reasonably assume that it's your vehicle.
The documents don't prove the car belongs to Sophia's husband.
The only thing that would stop us taking the vehicle is an actual bill of sale or something.
While Sophia looks for a sales receipt for the car.
Hi Helen, could you do an HPI for me, please?
Max calls the office to find out if it's on finance.
The BMW X5 Sport.
That's the one.
It's free of finance, that's okay to seize.
Thanks ever so much.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers,
bye.
Helen. Bye. Right, let's see if she can produce a bill of sale to show it's not hers, because I believe it is. She's insured on the vehicle. It's parked outside her flat with a residence parking bay that you need to reside here to get one. Unless she can give me some substantial proof the vehicle's going to be going.
Minutes later, Sophia returns with some more documents.
Because this was a previous one, when they originally bought it.
She shows the agents an old logbook, but it proves nothing.
No, essentially, unless you're able to produce the bill of sale, that's the only thing that will stop us taking the vehicle, unless you pay the debt.
I haven't got no money.
No.
I haven't got no money at all. You could basically take us out of this house. I haven't got money.
Okay, you know what we're going to do? We are going to remove the vehicle. Okay, you will have 7 days to provide that documentation. If you provide it in 7 days, great. The vehicle's released to you, no problem.
So by just taking this car,
yes,
you will be doing what if I don't get to submit things? What
it'll be sold at auction.
Okay, sold at auction. So, okay. Thereafter, the other amount, what is due, what would you be doing with
They'll
it?
continue to, you will continue to be pursued to the debt.
Knocking on my door, and obviously, if you ain't got no car other than that one day, then what are you going to take, the kids or someone else?
That's a ridiculous question.
No, because I'm just going to ask you today that what would you be doing thereafter? You've taken the car today, so tomorrow you're going to be knocking on my door again.
Can I ask you for the keys to the car?
No, I'm not going to give you the keys.
Okay,
if I'm not going to give you the keys, what are you going to do?
They'll have to smash the lock on it.
You can do what you want to do.
The car will be devalued.
You do what you fucking want to do. I'm not going to give you the keys.
Without the keys, the locking system of the car would have to be replaced, depreciating the asset.
Who the fuck are you?
I'm
not going to give you the keys. Let's see how far you get. Go on, let's see.
Miss,
go on,
calm down.
Let's see. Go and see what you're going to get.
Mate, with criminal damage.
Listen, it's my fucking car.
It's not your car. I've seized it. It's not your car.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Where is it? Where is
our
it?
car.
I can see the car because it's my car.
Clamp. Madam, you need to calm down.
It's not her car, so if she smashes it, it's going to come back from the auction devalued because it's got a windscreen broken or wherever it might be. It will devalue the car.
To protect the seized asset from any further damage, Max calls for a recovery vehicle.
Hi, can I speak to Helen, please? It's Max here. Helen, that vehicle does need to be removed. We have a very cross defendant.
But Max's actions haven't gone unnoticed.
I'm not going to give you the keys. I won't give you the keys.
It's our car. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I won't give you the keys.
Well, you're not getting the stuff out of it.
Right, miss,
it's okay.
Don't break it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Why would you break your own car?
It's not my car, first of all.
Okay.
Second of all, I've asked you to give that time.
I'm not going to speak to you when you're shouting at me.
Fuck you then, innit? I've been civil as much as
You're
I
not
can.
at all, you're shouting. Just calm down. Right, miss, what is it you need to remove from the vehicle?
I've got my kids' stuff.
Okay, I'll get it out for you. If you give me the keys, I will, is that right?
Okay,
Tell me what you need
and
stuff out.
You're going to give me the keys back, yeah?
I can't give the keys back, I'm not going to lie to you. Right, okay, now we get the police here.
Call the police.
Paul and Max are now faced with a debtor who has lost control.
I'm not going to deal with this. This is absolutely ridiculous.
I won't call the police.
With the case on a knife edge, it will take all their experience to contain this volatile situation. High Court enforcement agents Paul Bowhill and Max Caraher were in Upton Park, London, to recover £5,500 owed by a travel agent. The debtor, Sophia Issa, revealed she was in serious debt and couldn't pay.
I'm in the debt for about £100,000 myself.
But after the agent seized a potential asset, Sophia refused to hand over the keys to the car and became aggressive.
Listen, it's my fucking car.
It's not your car.
It's my fucking
I've seized
car.
it. It's not your car. Right, okay, now we get the police.
Go and call the police.
Now, with tempers escalating, Max calls for police assistance.
Hello, can I have the police,
yeah, you get them. You take it. Go on, let's see how far they get. Go on, let's see how far they get. I'm not going to let you take the car. You take it, but I'm going to break it. You just watch it.
Lovely, thanks very much. Cheers, bye.
Is your police coming then?
They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming. Let them come. Let them come.
But even with the police on their way, Sophia isn't calming down.
I'm not even going to show you the receipt. I want you to take the car. Don't worry about it. You see how much you get out of this car. It's fucking not even working properly.
Oh, it's less now. You've destroyed the wing
you
mirror.
Want me to break more? You want me to break more?
Definitely not. No.
You want me to break more?
No.
Because I can do that. Because I will do that.
I'm sure you can.
I don't mind the police coming. You know, it doesn't matter.
Move.
You know what? Even if the police, I'll go and get a bat from inside and break the car. And I will do that.
Okay.
You know what? And then police could arrest me because the police ain't going to fucking do shit.
No.
Yeah? They won't do shit. Fine, you basically seizing it. Take it. But let me fucking take my stuff from the car. Because that is on my name.
The stuff in the car is also under seizure.
I'm not talking to you. Am I talking to you? I'm talking to him.
I've been insulted and called names for the last 50 years, so it really does bounce off. They just want to strike out. She probably thought that by damaging the asset that we just seized, she would be hurting us. In truth, all she's doing is devaluing the asset, which would make less money at auction, and so the balances would come back to her.
A few minutes later, the police arrive.
Morning, gents. Thanks for coming so quickly. We're High Court enforcement agents. Yeah. We seized the vehicle. The wing mirror there, she hit that off.
Okay, do you want to
damaging our seized vehicle.
I'll speak to these guys, all right? Morning.
The police take Sophia off to make her understand she must cooperate and give the agents the keys. Just moments later, they appear to have made progress.
We're just going to get things and then keep it on you. Okay?
Absolutely fine.
Under supervision, the police allow Sophia and her husband to remove her possessions from the car.
I should have had petrol in here, innit? I could burn it.
Sophia, just think about what you're saying, all right?
Grab the stuff, please.
Quickly, yeah?
Just calm down.
Feel free to drive off with it.
Have you got everything you need, yeah?
Thank you very much.
Now they have the key, the agents need to move the car away from the house to avoid any more trouble.
Yeah, we'll put a couple of minutes in between.
But Max is in for a surprise.
This isn't, mate, this isn't the key. This might not do the immobiliser. This is a spare. I don't even know if that'll start it. It was a black key she had in her hand.
It appears that Sophia has handed the police a key which unlocks the doors, but won't start the engine. And they're not happy.
They asked me I could open the car.
Sophia,
They asked me to open the car.
all joking aside, okay,
Yes.
we had an honest conversation at the side of the road.
I gave him the keys.
Okay, you know what I meant by the key, all right?
I've given him the keys.
Okay, we'll just arrest you and take you to the police station.
Okay, fine. I'm willing. I'm more than happy to come to the police station. I'm more than happy to come to the police station.
pathetic,
I'm
though,
ready. I'll basically get someone to arrange for the kids. I'm more than happy to come to the police. I'm coming.
Fair enough.
Okay? I ain't got nothing better to do, but I'm not going to give him the keys. What they asked me, I was going to take my goods. That's it.
Cool.
Right?
The police take Sophia into the house and try and make her understand that if she continues to obstruct the enforcement, she could be arrested.
Hopefully she'll make the right decision and just hand over the keys, and that's the matter dealt with for now.
Minutes later, a policeman comes back out
Can we just check see if that works, please?
Thank you, sir.
Then we can...
with another key. Leaving the police to deal with Sophia, Max immediately drives the vehicle away from the house. Now parked in a quiet street nearby, the agents hand the BMW over to the recovery team.
Got the logbook and keys. That'll really help the auctioneers. Thanks for coming so quickly, my friend. You take care. 2 keys and all that. See you, mate.
If Sophia can't prove that she doesn't own the car within the next 14 days, it will be sold at auction.
Keys.
Have I got the keys?
No. Just tested.
Okay.
Bit slow on the uptake then.
You know me.
Recent research shows that people over the age of 60 are struggling with high levels of debt. More than 10,000 people aged over 60 sought advice from a leading charity over the first half of 2016. The average debt was over 3 times more than those under 25. High Court enforcement agents Matt Highway and Gary Ball are in Tamworth, Staffordshire.
Right next then, Matt.
We're going to see a Mr. Edward Birch. He owes £2,756.10.
The unpaid debt is a result of a dispute between Mr. Birch and his neighbour over a boundary wall.
Your side, on the end.
If Mr. Birch can't or won't pay, the agents have the right to seize goods to cover the debt.
Hello there.
It's around the back bus, is it?
Hello. What do you want?
Hi, sir. After Edward Birch.
That's me. Yeah.
Hello, sir. We're High Court enforcement agents, sir.
You what?
We're High Court enforcement agents.
Yes.
We're here today with a High Court writ, sir.
Come in.
Thank you.
Is it just yourself lives here, Mr. Birch?
Yeah.
Shall I just put that telly down so you can hear us, yeah? I'll do it for you.
Well, don't.
Why?
It's my property. Give it bloody well here.
Well, I'm only helping you, Mr. Birch, aren't I?
You're not helping me, mate.
Why?
I'm disabled, and if I don't mobilise myself, I get worse.
Right, okay.
I just turn the bloody thing off.
Well, there we go then.
High Court enforcement agents, sir. You're here for the High Court writ.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Do you know the lady, do you, sir?
Yeah.
What's it reference?
A wall that they built on my property. They knocked their wall down because he's a builder and built his wall on my part of the land.
So how come they made you liable for it then?
Because I was putting up a fence. I took 14 bricks out. Workmen did it for me. So I could put my fence in.
Mr. Birch's neighbour took him to court, claiming he'd damaged their wall. But because Mr. Birch failed to attend the court hearing, he lost the case by default.
I was unable to go to court because of my disabilities. I can't use my hands. My body's gone, shattered.
Personal disputes, they're always difficult, you know, because you're right slap bang in the middle of an emotional dispute that could have been going on for a number of years. Regardless of whether we believe it's right or wrong, we have to put it to one side and then get on with, enforcing the writ.
The dispute with his neighbour has taken its toll on Mr. Birch. And because of his health issues, Matt and Gary must tread carefully to assess whether he's capable of paying back any of the £2,700 he owes.
My colleague's explained to you why we're here today, hasn't he?
I know what you're here for.
Yeah. So what we have
It's
to do...
not going to work, mate. The thing is, there's not much here you'll be able to have because none of it belongs to me now. Because of the state of men, my age, it's all signed over to my daughters.
So they come in and look after you, do they?
Oh yeah, without them.
Yeah.
You know this care in the community?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cares. I've had a toilet done there. They built the Empire State Building quicker than what they've done that toilet. It's still not finished now. I'm on my way out. I'm 74 years old.
And that's what I'm trying to determine, all right? Because if I can determine that, then it
Determine what?
What your state is at the moment.
This has all been explained to the court.
What benefits do you receive, sir?
Disability.
Disability.
It's clear that Mr. Birch is vulnerable and the writ cannot be enforced. But the agents need to take a record of his benefit payments to send a report to the claimant.
Have you got a letter from the disability for your award? We only need one that says that you're awarded it and what your award is, yeah?
Sorry, sir. I'll let you get through. Do you want to use my arm? Are you all right?
No, it can't be support because of my bloody joints.
Can you not?
It should be put down.
No, I don't say that. I'm going to come with you just in case you
Yeah,
fall.
all
All
right.
Just proof of his benefits, what's in Disabled and Carer Service. It's DLA. Just to prove you know how much he's getting per week. Do you want me to do it for you? Here we go. Pension credit. £82.66 a week, Edward. Well, it's what it's telling me on here anyway. When we walked through the door, and see a person who is elderly, very frail, with a clear disability, living on their own, these are clear warning signs that that person that we're dealing with is vulnerable, and you know, the enforcement will take a different turn.
The agents have got the evidence they need to file a report for the claimant.
Right, should we go back in the front room then?
Yeah. I represented my country in the bloody army.
What regiment were you in?
Lancashire Fusiliers.
Oh, Lancashire Fusiliers. I was in the army as well.
What battalion was you in?
I was in the military police.
Oh, man and on.
The long and short of this is, Mr Birch, is obviously they've escalated to the High Court and they've asked to enforce the writ, OK? Now, there's numerous reasons why we wouldn't do that today. One being your age, two being your disability. So what my colleague's trying to do...
It's not only that, mate. The injustice in this country...
I don't know. What we need to do, we need to put a report into our office to say what we've seen and what we've spoken to you about today.
You can have all the money in the world, mate. But if you haven't got your health, it's not worth a being.
Oh, that's true enough.
You don't realise it when you're young and fit, how you're going to end up. But that's life, kid. You never know what's down for you.
That's right.
Never know what's down for you.
The fella Mank. See you later.
I'm a nasty old bugger, but there you go.
See you later, buddy.
Cheers,
Take it easy.
Take care, right. See you later.
Watch how you go. At the end of the day, I've done nothing that warrants that sort of payment for 14 bricks on my property.
Mr Birch is a typical fellow Mank. See old people in Manchester, that's exactly what they're like, you know, they just don't take any messing from anybody. And regardless of his state and the fact that, you know, he's crippled over with disability, he's still got his personality and, you know, he tells it how it is and that's it.
Matt and Gary have had to deal with a sensitive situation. But in Paul and Max's next case...
Hello, sir.
An elusive debtor.
What time do you usually come in?
Well, he wasn't here since Monday.
Finally realises the game is up.
No, it's not going.
Yeah, it is going. What do you mean it's not?
No, you're going to go.
Don't touch me. You can't touch me.
Right, then you'll get arrested.
Okay, you arrest me.
Okay.
In Britain, more than 350,000 new businesses are set up every year. Each invests an average of over £20,000 to cover essential costs. However, nearly a quarter experience a loss in profits in the first 12 months, while almost 1 in 10 have had to let their staff go to free up funds. High Court enforcement agents Paul Bowhill and Max Caraher are on the Isle of Dogs in East London to recover over £2,000 owed by a letting agency to an unhappy tenant.
So what have we got today?
We're off to see Flatsco Limited. We're looking to collect £2,240 and 99 pence.
And this is a trade debt, so presumably we go into business premises.
Yeah.
The agents have already visited 2 other addresses, but failed to find company director Hugo de Souza.
Right.
Max and Paul have been given another address for him at an exclusive office building in one of London's premier financial districts. And today, they're hoping they'll finally come face to face with the elusive businessman.
You just slow down, really. You've got only short legs, but they do move quite quickly, don't they?
There we go.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. We're here to see Flatsco. Yes. They're not in yet. That's not a problem. You just take us up.
That's the office here.
No problem. This office here?
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. Could you open the door for me?
What time do they come?
If
anytime from now to anytime.
Once again, Mr. de Souza is nowhere to be seen. But as this is a commercial premises, the agents have the right to call a locksmith and force entry into his office. Max photographs the lock.
So what are you telling me? Are you allowed to force entry?
Yes, because it's absolutely.
Right now?
Right, immediately. They're the lawful tenants in here.
Yeah.
Okay, therefore we can.
We accept that what you say is perfectly reasonable.
Yep.
We just are making the point is that we haven't got 8 hours to sit here to wait for them to come back.
Rather than cause damage to the premises, the building manager gives the agents access.
Just
brilliant. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no worries.
But as the agents enter the office, they're in for a surprise. It seems that the company operating here is not Flatsco, but Privilege Property Managers.
Can you just have a look at Privilege?
Max looks up the business online.
Ah, Privilege Property Managers. Same director of the company.
Max discovers that Privilege is a new company owned by Hugo, the director of the debtor company, Flatsco. If Flatsco is no longer trading, the agents can't enforce the writ. But then Max finds some paperwork.
Flatsco Limited. The gas is overdue, the electricity is overdue, the council tax is overdue.
Here?
Everywhere. All the evidence, although they may have a new company, the old company's, it's still in existence, so I want to know where all these assets were bought from.
With evidence that the debtor company is also trading from the office, the agents can seize company assets to offset the debt if Mr. D'Souza doesn't show up.
Good morning. Hello. Yeah,
But just then, one of Hugo D'Souza's employees arrives.
Hi, my name's Max Carraher. I'm an enforcement agent. I'm here with a High Court writ today for Flatsco Limited. Now, I can see this is all badged up as Privileged Property Managers, but the director's the same as Flatsco Limited.
Okay.
Hugo, is he the boss?
Yeah.
If you could get him on the phone for me, I think that'll be the best step, miss. What time do you usually come in?
Well, he wasn't here since Monday.
Okay.
But he was here last week. I just started work here like a week ago.
Oh, did you?
Hugo's employee attempts to contact her boss.
Yeah, he's ringing.
Oh, is it ringing? I'll speak right, thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Hugo. My name's Max Carraher, and I'm an enforcement agent. We're just in your office at the moment.
Okay.
Hugo, we've got a High Court writ here for Flatsco Limited, one of your companies.
It's not Flatsco, it's Privilege.
Hugo, what I'd like is some proof of where the equipment was bought from.
Okay.
Are you anywhere near the office?
Yes, an hour?
In an hour, Hugo. Unfortunately, we would have removed all the goods from the office.
I don't know, because this is not under my name. If you have an hour, you have a please.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time.
Right.
Cheers. Bye. Thank you. Right, let's see what IT kit we can reasonably get.
Mr. D'Souza claims that all the assets in the office belong to his other company, but with no proof this is true, Max starts an inventory.
Got 1, 2, 3 screens, very little. Other screen there. The onus of proof is what the law requires for us to remove goods or take control of. Somebody has to prove that they own or do not own an item. If they can't, then we are allowed to take it. The onus of proof is not on the enforcement agents, it's on the defendant.
After waiting half an hour, there's still no sign of Mr. D'Souza. So Paul calls the office to get the claimant's approval to start seizing goods in Mr. D'Souza's absence.
We've got access to the office, so we just want to know where we go from here. I've just spoken to John.
Okay.
He said that the clients have said, if needs be, just take everything that is not tied down.
Okay.
The agents start to stack up goods outside the office.
I'm going to unplug all the computers and get it all ready.
Finally, over an hour after the agents arrived, the director of the debtor company, Hugo D'Souza, arrives at the office.
Hello.
How's it going?
Are you Hugo?
It's in my office, man.
Absolutely. Are you Hugo?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Hugo. My name's Max Carraher. I'm an enforcement agent. This is my colleague, Paul Bohill.
Hugo immediately gives the agents his side of the story.
What happened? This gentleman here, he had a he moved to a property, and then almost after he was there for like a month, he said he had bed bugs. We had sent the bed bug, the exterminator, right? Okay. And then I also offered him to move out and return his money. He moved out, I returned his money, and even though he did take action.
Despite Hugo's story, the agents are duty-bound to enforce the writ.
The easy way for you to deal with this is to pay the debt.
This is no Let's Go. You can do investigation, it's fine. But this is also no Let's Go. I have Let's Go, I run a Let's Go.
Yes.
I run it from home.
Yep.
This one is another company that I have a business partner.
They sign out sheets of the keys for Flats Go Limited.
Well, it's
right
still property here, so I can bring my stuff in and out. I guarantee you, this is items and no Let's Go.
Hugo insists that the assets belong to another company, Privileged Property Managers. But the agents haven't seen any proof.
But this is going to get goods from someone else. I can guarantee you.
Guarantee doesn't work for me.
Sorry, we don't accept it.
That's not my stuff.
I'll leave you an inventory. I'll leave an inventory.
This stuff. No, I can't. I need this to work. This is
not going to happen.
This is not
going to happen.
No, you can't.
No, we can. We have a high court writ.
I understand, sir.
I understand. We can and we will.
It's both. It's not both by me.
No, it's going.
No, you don't understand.
Unfortunately, I understand.
Okay, so let's go to the
But then Hugo decides to take matters into his own hands.
No, it's not going, man.
Yeah, it is going. What do you mean it's not?
No,
it's going.
You can't touch me. You can't touch
Sir,
me.
right. Then you'll get arrested.
Okay, you arrest me.
Okay.
This is not your stuff. This is not belongs to you. That belongs to me. Excuse me, sir.
No.
Excuse me.
Handling assets after they have been seized is a criminal offence. Max calls the police.
Can I have the police, please? Hello, we're enforcement agents with a High Court writ. We've got a defendant here who's obstructing us from removing goods. Could you send some officers down to attend, please?
But now, with the police on their way, Mr. D'Souza has a sudden change of heart.
Listen. Okay, let's make the payment. I can pay it. I still pay it.
You said you wouldn't pay it.
I don't want to see I have a card. I don't want my reputation. I fight against it after.
How are you going to pay?
Cards.
Max stands the police down.
I do apologise. I'll call back in.
The agent's persistence has paid off. Hugo pays the outstanding balance in full.
Thank you, Hugo. For an authorisation code here, which we'll give you along with the receipt.
Well, I suppose a good result there.
A recent survey has revealed that almost half of small and medium-sized businesses in the UK suffer cash flow problems as a result of unpaid invoices. 1/3 reported having to hold off paying their own suppliers, and 1 in 10 had problems paying their own staff. High Court enforcement agents Gary Ball and Matt Highway are in Birmingham to recover a debt of over £2,000 owed by grocery store owner Mr. Agul Denise.
He owes £2,230 exactly, and that's to looks like a supplier.
But this isn't the first time the agents have encountered Mr. Agul. Matt and Gary enforced a writ on another of his supermarkets just a few months ago.
And the address that we've got provided is a convenience store.
Convenient.
Very convenient. There, look.
If Mr. Agul doesn't pay today, goods and assets from his shop could be seized to cover the debt.
Sir, I'm after a Agul Denise.
Mr. Akul is not here at the moment. He's in London.
He's in London?
Yeah.
You just work here, right?
Yeah.
Can you get him on the phone for us by any chance, sir?
Gene mahkemeden size bir tane şey gelmiş kurban. Ödememişsiniz. Adamlar gelmişler şimdi içeride eşya götüreceğiz diyorlar.
The man already appears to know exactly why the agents are here and what they might do if payment isn't made.
You can speak with him.
Okay, thank you. Hello, is that Mr. Denny's?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, my name's Gary Ball. I'm an enforcement agent, sir. We're here today at the premises with a High Court writ.
For what?
Not paid one of his suppliers. It's £2,230, sir. You need to pay today.
Really, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
It's for my name. It's for my name.
Yeah, for Akgul Denny's.
I'm not the owner. That business before the passed to my family.
All right, you've passed it on to your family, the business?
I sold for that my family. He run it, but.
All right, is that what you're trying to tell me, sir? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, but I know anything to be like that for any company.
Okay. Well, we'll carry on do our job, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay then.
Mr. Agul claims the shop is no longer his. But then Gary spots some paperwork.
There's the bank account with this place. There's the energy supplier for this place, all in his name. There's another bank account with his name for this building.
A lot of paperwork here for somebody who's not here anymore.
When did he sell the shop? When did he move it on?
I think it was like 7-8 months before.
So who owns the shop now?
Mr. Ona Akgul. He is the son of Mr. Dennis.
He's his son?
Yeah.
So he sold it to his son?
Yes.
Okay. Because if I bought a shop, I want my invoices to say my name on them and not the previous owner's name, wouldn't you? Do you know what I'm trying to get at? Over my last 20 years whilst I was serving in the military police, you know, investigation is very important to that job. It's also very important to this job. When people are telling you one thing and then you find the evidence that absolutely destroys what they're saying, it's always a good thing.
The agents have seen no evidence to prove that the debtor's son now owns the shop. The employee now has Mr. Agul's accountant on the phone.
Because they're coming from the bailiff, they want to take some stuff from here. You need to speak with the accountant.
Accountant?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can pay the bill, then we can speak to the accountant.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name's Mr. Highway. I'm a High Court enforcement agent. How are you?
I remember. It's for another shop called Five Star Supermarket. That's for the case.
No, that's not correct, sir. That was a different case.
That's the right one.
No, it wasn't, sir, because I was also the enforcement agent that was on that case as well. This is a different case. This is a different case altogether, sir.
Oh God, then I can't help you.
The accountant has confused this case with Matt and Gary's previous encounter with the debtor. And with no offer of payment, Matt and Gary start an inventory of assets they could seize.
If I get you the proof, which is the shop, which day has been sold.
Yeah, you can get whatever.
You can prove to you the man is the leaseholder.
You can get whatever you want.
I need to go to accountant, but one of my family need to come in here.
If you want to go and get it, I'll take a look.
I will get
I'll take a look.
I will go get the
Absolutely,
leaseholder, yeah?
no problem.
Moments later, the employee's wife arrives to look after the shop. She is also joined by another family member.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
It's not the first time she's met Matt and Gary.
Long time no see.
I've seen you before. Oh, I saw you at the other shop. Yes, of course. Yeah, I remember. Are you well?
Yes.
Good, good. You know the situation then, don't you? You know, yeah, why we're here, yeah?
Hello, can I speak Mr. Ghosh, please, again?
But instead of leaving to find new documentation, the employee continues making phone calls.
The list who the proof to Dennis sell the shop to the belong another person.
20 minutes later, and with no sign of any proof, Gary's patience is running out.
Right, this is taking too long now. If it's not paid in the next 10 minutes, right, what we're going to do, we're going to escalate it to the next stage, which is going to cost about another £600-700 more, because we've been here far too long now.
Just give me the last 5 minutes, yeah?
I understand you're doing your best for your employer. The simple fact of the matter is, it needs to be paid.
The clock is ticking.
So, can you call Mr. Denny's and inform me of what my colleagues just said? We're going to increase it if it's not paid in the next 10 minutes.
If the employee can't persuade Mr. Agul to pay up in the next 10 minutes, he may not have a business to come back to at all. Matt Highway and Gary Ball were in Birmingham to collect a debt of over £2,000 owed to a supplier by a convenience store owner.
I'm after a Akgul Denny's.
Mr. Akgul is not here at the moment, he's in London.
The debtor, Mr. Agul, claimed he no longer owned the shop.
that business before the passed to my family.
All right, you've passed it on to your family, the business?
Yeah, I sold for that my family. He run it out.
But the agents discovered documents which showed otherwise.
A lot of paperwork here for somebody who's not here anymore.
After giving the owner and his staff time to prove their story, Matt and Gary's patience eventually ran out.
This is taking too long now.
And the agents set an ultimatum.
Can you call Mr. Denny's and inform him we're going to increase it if it's not paid in the next 10 minutes?
Now, all that Matt and Gary can do is wait to see whether Mr. Agul rings back with an offer of payment.
These, I remember when these are 10p. Bags of sweets, nice. You can go and get 4 for £1 or 29p each.
Just as the 10 minutes are up, the phone rings.
Can you speak with Mr. Akgül, please? Mr. Deniz Akgül.
The owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Not the owner, Mr. Akgül.
Okay. Hello, sir?
Brother, just listen, because 2.5 years before, 2.5 years, not now, 2.5 years before,
yeah.
This is, I sold it for Mr. Gunur.
Okay.
I'm not runner, 2 years, not now, 2 years.
Okay.
With the story changing once again, Gary has heard enough.
We've given you every opportunity to give us the paperwork from your solicitor or your accountant to say when you've sold this place. Nothing's forthcoming as yet. So we are where we are today, sir, and we're going to start removing now, okay?
Okay,
all right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Matt calls for a recovery vehicle to remove the goods listed on the inventory. But because most of the items in the shop are of low value, the agents will have to clear a lot of the stock to cover the debt.
Oh, is that A1?
Yeah, A1.
Hiya, buddy, you all right? It's Mr. Highway at DCBL. It's going to require probably at least three Luton vans within the hour. Smash in, thanks so much. Cheers then, cheers, thanks, bye-bye.
But just as the agents start to pack up the assets,
somebody has just given up smoking, this is hard.
The employee makes a U-turn.
Huh? Okay, just leave it, bring the money.
Oh, they're going to bring the money? Yeah, Matt. There you go.
Right, okay, so we can stop then, yeah? Yes. Thank you.
An hour and a half after the agents arrived at the shop, Mr. Agul has finally agreed to pay the debt. Minutes later, a friend of Mr. Agul arrives with the cash, and it's another familiar face.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Again, yeah?
How are you, sir?
Very good. Everywhere, yeah?
Are you well?
Wow.
The friend also paid the debt at Mr. Agul's other business.
I didn't think we'd ever meet you again, sir.
Well.
But instead of handing over the cash, the men want to negotiate.
How much you can do it?
Sir, it's the full amount. We don't do discounts. We're not in the business to do discounts.
It's 288640.
Well, I've got £2,000 on me. That's what I told him.
Well, then we'll remove.
Go to them and, yeah.
We'll remove then, sir. Okay. The van's on its way, so we'll just remove.
Person settling the debt, you know, he just wants the last word. He wants his two penneth worth before he pays. And you know, if it makes him feel better to have his last word, then he can. You know, our goal is collecting the money for the claimant.
With the agents not backing down, Mr. Agul's friend reluctantly hands over a wad of cash.
Can you just issue the invoice?
Yep, no problem at all.
Hadi şunu say. Onun üstüne ver. Hadi görüşürüz. Benim zamanım yok. Fazla verme.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Take care.
Over 2 hours after the agents arrived at the shop, the outstanding balance is paid in full.
I've got a receipt, and you've got my details.
Okay, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience, all right? I hope we don't meet again. All right.
Cheers, sir. Thank you.
Well, that was a long one.
Why do they always take it to the nth degree, you know what I mean?
It amazes me. They take it to the end, take it to the very end, and then ask for a discount.